it's worth to also know about her history, that she was working for a corporation before she was a minister. She got £1,000 an hour, while an asylum seeker gets $37.50 a week. That is obscene. And we're here to say, no, we do not accept that. I'm sorry to say that we cannot, but in our fight, you know, there's sometimes a call for women and black women to go into high places, but that will not help us. Unfortunately, it's been feminists who've been attacked, which is outrageous, and we do not accept that. And they've attacked sex workers and undermined sex workers, and sex workers are part of our movement too. I have a quote here from a trans migrant sex worker, which I think is absolutely brilliant. She has to travel to work, and she says, we move country to escape violence, to get identification documents, to have access to procedures. But many of the things that we need are the same things that other working class people need. Better housing, health care, money to live on, decriminalizing sex work, ending the war on drugs, justice for the violence we suffer. There are many things. Our struggles, they are not separate from others. Our liberation, it is with others. And I think that's absolutely right. I just wanted to finish with two quick points. One is that the hostile environment, some of you know there was a campaign called Voluntary Returns, and some women's organizations, some church groups were taking money from the Home Office to run so-called voluntary returns. That was opposed, including by the All Africa Women's Group and many other asylum seekers, because what they said is that we will help you, but when we think your case is not viable, then we'll help you to leave. You know, we will kind of urge you to then take your leave of the country. But there's no voluntary to it. If you are destitute, you are homeless, you have no legal aid, no right to support, then you're not leaving voluntarily. You're leaving because you're being driven into the ground. And that was the basis of the hostile environment. And the voluntary returns was part of it. So we're calling on the movement not to be part of those Home Office initiatives, because it undermines everything that we're trying to do. And I think we have to be really aware of that. The second thing I wanted to say is about the police. I know that some people who were around XR were bringing forward people of color who were actually working with the police. And they were sort of putting them forward as being for Black Lives Matter. But those people were against defunding the police. I mention this because Black Lives Matter is an important movement, and we have to protect it. It's a movement. It's a movement for justice. It's a movement to uplift everybody, and it's gone global, and it's not stopping. So we have to really be part of, feel ourselves part of Black Lives Movement and defend it. Because if we're in the pocket of the police, if we're taking funds from the police, if we are on the same page, the black on black violence, all that crap. If we're in that, we are not part of the movement. We're undermining the movement. And also, we don't want to be NGOs, because the NGOs collect funds, but the poverty continues. And Haiti is an example of that. It's the poorest country in the world with the most NGOs in the world, and they've been calling out the NGOs for many years, including for rape and violence against Haitian people. I'll finish on that. I thank you for giving me the extra time. I'm just so thrilled to be here. We're going the right way. Let's stay together. We can win. We can do it. It's not impossible. We can take it all back and change the world. Thank you very much.
so much. Sarah Calloway.
For all of you just joining now, that was Sarah Calloway.
Before I introduce our next speaker, I just wanted to briefly talk about another issue that is very much linked to climate change, and that's gentrification. And it's not immediately obvious that it is, but if you think about the fact that we don't build enough homes for everyone in this country, let alone building enough to replace the ones that are going to be lost across the world to rising seas, to burning forests, to natural disasters, to desertification, and all the horrors that are going to come with climate change. Who do you think is going to be forced to live in the homes in floodplains? When the house prices go down, house prices go up for homes that are safe, who do you think is going to go and live there? Climate gentrification means that poorer people of the world are going to be forced to be living in floodplains and right in the path of climate disaster. So this is another issue that as climate activists we need to be. And I bring that up because our next speaker is another friend of mine. And Hiba has been organising with a radical youth collective, Our Future Now. The Noor being a supermarket in Brixton, and they succeeded. Noor is no longer being redeveloped. The Hondo Corporation, which seek to buy up parts of Brixton and totally gentrify it, turn it into office blocks, luxury apartments, they didn't touch Noor. So I just wanted to thank Hiba for her work there, and I wanted to give her the time to speak today. So here we go, Hiba.
Hi everyone, thank you for being here. Thanks to the camera team. Yesterday, I read a poem by a Sudanese poet called Abdullah Yusuf. He wrote, "You'll die at sea, your head rocked by the roaring waves, your body swaying in the water like a perforated boat. In the prime of your youth you'll go, shy of your 30th birthday. Departing early is not a bad idea, but it is surely if you die alone." Abdul Wahab sadly died a few days ago. His boat sunk, not by the forces of nature, but by the bullets of unknown assailants at sea as he was trying to flee a country torn by civil war. The Libyan, Italian and Maltese authorities, they heard the boats make their calls, but no one came to help. Abdul Wahab is just one of thousands upon thousands of people murdered at sea. And Sudan, his home country, has been at a protracted war since the early 70s. And this war it's not a thing that just happens because of no reason. It is the continuation of a war manufactured at the end of the British colonial era in the 50s and has been largely sustained by oil companies like Chevron and London Petroleum, looking to make easy money while taking zero responsibility for the environmental and social damage their sectors wreak on the places they colonize. Abdul Wahab's fate is shared by many migrants all over the world who are displaced for the profits of multinational companies, and they come from places like Iraq and Congo and Honduras. And all over the world, violent and despotic regimes are upheld by countries like the UK